Hello. I'm gonna tell you about the voice and the path. And by voice, I mean how voice is presented now in features, and the path is about how our startup went from building one app to building voice interface, actually voice infrastructure. So first we built, and the very important thing to remember is that I'm not advertising my app because we build it for enterprise. And the goal of my talk is to encourage you to develop voice interfaces in your products. So I started working at a startup named Sync. We made something, connected calendar with Google Docs. We filled several patients, and after some time, we transferred to build Alan, the voice infrastructure. And when my boss told me, wow, we are building some voice stuff, now developers can build their voice application, that's so cool. Like, this will be a new keyboard. This is a new way to interact with user. It's a new voice era where we are all going to, you see, there are a lot of products, that's so awesome. And I thought, okay, there will be a lot of job opportunities for designers, developers, But when I started to think more about it, like, first, I don't like talking to robots, even if I have Siri, even if, like, maybe Alisa makes some value somewhere, but I don't know, I just downloaded, tested, and who cares? And this was my main feeling after that, like, what's going on? Guys, I came to help people, and now I'm building some nice feature that it's cool to have. And somebody watched this video? Please raise your hands. Okay, so I will show you.
What's the buttons? I don't know, they install voice recognition technology and stuff like that. Voice recognition technology in a lift in Scotland. You ever tried voice recognition technology? No, they don't do Scottish accents. 11.
Could you please repeat that?
11.
Okay, I will show you the end of this video because it's very long.
Just wait for it to speak.
You have not selected a phrase.
So, when I was testing our voice features, I was feeling similar to this. But then, like, to be serious, there are a lot of limitations even now to use any voice inside the apps or devices. The main is safety, that if you will not process your data on the client's side, so on the device, the data or somebody's voice can be stolen, and for example, using this voice, somebody can call to your bank and answer bank's questions. Other than that, like, devices are very slow, the battery goes off very fast, and you need a lot of time to teach your model when you're building this. And probably in big companies, lawyers will be very against any voice technologies. So these were my thoughts last autumn when we started doing that. But in December, I was invited to the 5th grade lesson. Very young children were drawing postcards, and this is the number of the school in Moscow. They were drawing postcards in 4 languages. And these, like, 5 grade children, they were talking to their Android phones, asking Google all questions they had, even if they were not related to the lesson. And when I went out of this lesson to the break, I saw a lot of people talking to their phones, and for me it was very awkward. I would not do that if some people are around me. I would just, like, hide myself, then speak, and they were very comfortable. And I realized that this new generation will easily use voice in the apps, and this is just not comfortable for my generation or for older people. So the voice is useful in some areas, in some places and conditions. Like I have a list here, you can read it, but very important is that accelerators, they want and they wait for the products where voice is used. So if you want to build some app and go to Y Combinator, for example, like you should use voice there. So these two fields that I divided where voices can be used or is used now. So for personal cases like weather, entertainment, search, and for enterprise. In enterprise, like in big companies, voice can optimize people's day. And our case that we found very valuable for our customers are the people who has busy hands all the day, like people who fix, for example, elevators. And we had this case study when there is a mechanic and he needs to use about 10 apps that lives in different devices, some databases, some technical information, some calculators special for that lift, for these elevators. And so the voice, pulling out data from the databases using voice would be very helpful for him. And probably it should work similar to this. It's also very famous video.
Welcome to this voice-activated elevator, the Intellivator. Please select language. English. English registered. Please select floor. 7 is registered. Please hold on. Of course it worked. It is an Intellivator.
Okay, this is prank, and these are two guys, but it should understand all the time, and any language. And let me remind you where voice is coming from. So, and this is also important for the development. So first we have some idea. It might not be in the words, but we have some idea in the head. And in English, they call it intention. And so in developing voice scripts, we also call it intention. Then you might have some thought, and then person starts making noises, and then the voice comes out. But the problem is that intention is just a small part of whole sentence. The user sentence is filled in with some words that are not related to this intention. For example, just to make it grammatically correct, you need to say a lot of words. But intention will be like 2 or 1 of the words. And let me show you my little research about how voice is presented now. So which features do we have? We have got input. The first example is a Google Docs example where you can speak even in Russian and the text will be put out to the Google Docs. Second is output, where you can select whole article and make your computer read it for you. So this will be system voice, but when you have habit of listening to that voice, you don't need to read any articles anymore. Other like voice product is voice comments-based product, where you can say special comments that you know what to say to the app, and it will do what you said, and it will not answer to you. Or it might answer, but the answers will be very short and not clear. And it cannot make conversation. Another example, like what I'm going to talk about, are assistants. They can live in special devices that you need to buy, or they can live in your phone. You can download it, or Siri can live in your system. Anna is a nice example as an extension for Chrome. So you can just speak to Chrome and say, "Hey Anna, open Facebook," and it will be opened. And in the middle, there is sex dolls where voice interface is also needed, and I think it much more than in other places. This doll actually has Instagram account. I was looking at this, watching this Instagram maybe 2 years from now, and I saw the stages of how they developed these girls and how the AI was working there, so very interesting research. And here are the states. So first, when we started developing that, I thought it's like a toggle. So you just put microphone button and it works like a toggle, and who cares, you just speak, it just answers. Why we need some design there? But apparently not, because states should show to the user what's going on. Is it thinking too much, or it's trying to answer to you, or it stops and you can speak back again? And then on this example, you can see, like the more big is the company, the more its states are developed. So Alisa has got the most nice states in this little, very simple circle with square. And this extension, Anna, that was made by one Indian guy, has just 4 states. And actually, it's very unclear how to use it several first times. And each of them has personality. And this Anna, made by Indian guy, has an Indian accent. It's very funny to talk when it's really answering to you. Yeah, and the second part of my talk is about how we transferred from Sync to Alan. It's about path. And as you can see, Sync is Calendar plus Google Doc app. It was iOS and web. And when user logs in, we took all data from Calendar, and we had all list of his events, people he meet, their emails, people he meets, their emails, and locations, and all things that are in the Google Calendar. And in our app, user could make notes in the events. And why it is important? Because for each data we took to our app, we added tags. And by tags, I mean not tags like an e-commerce shop, not by like selecting some, I don't know, product like bottles or monitors or laptops. It's not these tags. The tags are like attributes of one piece of data. And basically, in web app, this example shows how we used it just for searching. You see location tags like Moscow or Liverpool, and I didn't make this tag. I didn't make these tags. They were just came up automatically to my account. Then we invented highlights, the highlights, this was a feature where, like, if you are in the meeting and you're recording an audio note, we transcribed whole speech to text, and we highlighted important words or that are locations, dates, people. You could like edit it, filter by them, do any stuff you want. So each meeting would be recorded and recorded with text and searchable. Then we understood and got from research from our users that they don't like to fill the form because our users are very busy and usually they are running across office or from one office to another office. So we decided to make comfortable their form filling. So event creation should be much comfortable than with fingers tapping. And we made comments-based comments-based feature. It didn't have any output, and this is like simple example. So we speak to the app like create event, then describe it, then it recognizes, we highlight that we recognize, and then the event form is filled. And then user may say save, and it will be saved. The problem here was that user still needed his attention to check if the form filled correctly. And this is an example how it worked. There will be no voice. There shouldn't be no voice. So I say meeting with Jen at 5 p.m. in Sunnyvale. It recognizes, and then the form is filled. And then we built a voice assistant. Because we understood that we already gave voice power to our app. After we made filling forms, we let our users to navigate through the app, to ask, like, show me notes I made with James at Liverpool, and the whole data and search and text will be filled in with voice. And for voice assistants, we had some like ideas. These were 2 ideas: to implement something on the top of the app, or build just app standalone voice app. And if you sign up with a lot of your calendars and other like products, we can pull data for you. And this is how it might work. So this an example how I test it. And first it doesn't understand me, and then understands. What's my day look like? Now there will be silent. And take me to my next meeting.
It's 20 hours.
Cool. I asked who I'm meeting with, and it answers using my calendar data. So that was nice, but not enough for us. And actually, I can show you an example how it worked on the web. And it felt very, and on web it was like magic for me, because from phone I usually expect that something will happen with my UI. Here I ask like, what's my day look like? And after answering, after recognizing, it starts showing me, highlighting my events and speaking them out. And my feeling were like this. And yeah, and then Alan came up. We called it for Alan Turing because we all very grateful to this man. And simple explanation of Alan is like intercom for web, but for voice and without marketing. And these are like 3 core features. So Alan is a layer on the top of any UI, voice and visual control, so you can do whatever you want with your UI with voice. And we have a domain-specific language model. And why it is important? It is important because several different companies they have got different abbreviations. You can see E79 here. And for one company, it could mean a number of the car. For another company, it could mean a number of Jira tasks. For another company, it might mean anything at all. And so our language model should be taught which abbreviation, which word, which sentence or combination of words, what does it mean? And as we're building it for giant enterprises, this is our very important thing to teach the model. So this slide shows what are the differences between our product and other voice products that are in the field, like the main. And the main difference is that when you build your product using Google Assistant, so like Google Actions and plus Google Dialogflow, you're actually building that for Google. So maybe you are doing your action, but generally you are building it for Google for free. And not everybody has Android, not everybody has Alexa, and also you need to go through the publishing procedure where Google approves your action. In our case, there is no problems like this, so you just build it our Alan, you implement it, and it works, and we don't take your code, we don't use it, we don't let anyone to use it, so it's totally yours. And this is another comparison, the difference. So we are for enterprise, and these guys are for consumers, for entertainment. We will not entertain, we will help enterprises to answer questions, to work for the elevator mechanicals. And let me show you some videos of how it can be used. This is a Pizza Hut app where James tries to order previous order.
Reorder the same pizzas I got last Friday.
Added 1 large pepperoni cheese pizza and 1 large veggie lovers pizza to your order.
Next example where user wants to change flight.
What's my flight status?
Your flight number 1061 from Los Angeles to San Francisco was cancelled. There is another flight at 8:10 a.m., landing at 9:35 a.m. Should I get you a seat on that?
Yes, give me a seat on that one.
So I'm sorry, I was wrong, because the intention was the user wanted to check the status, not to change. But after Alan answers, it goes to like changing his flight. And example with banking iOS app.
What's my credit card balance?
Your credit card balance for this month is $66.75.
How much credit do I have left?
Your remaining credit is $5,568.
Then I think it should transfer some money to some place, but I will not show that. And a little, like I have one slide for technology and some words to Google at the end of the deck. So yes, there is something smart under the hood. And it's really very easy to start, even if you are like very little or not very experienced developer as me. So I can just make HTML pages, and that's all my skills in developing. So like I could implement it to my website, and I will show you next. And also, like you can build the scripts in a web app. You can download iOS app also to test the same feature, but using iOS. And you just copy the code to your project, and it works, and you don't need to do it again. So you can build, test, and do everything you want inside Alan, and it will be updated wherever you want in your app. And this is almost all that you need to paste to the web page to use it. For iOS, it's much more bigger, but I mean, I just pasted that, and it worked. This is an example of like my website that I did, and I have a video because, yeah.
Hello. Hi. How are you?
I used a very simple script that is like everyone can use it. It means like example of scripts, small talk. So that's why that 5 phrases.
Great. Oh, that's awesome, and I appreciate it.
Okay, so I encourage you to try voice interfaces and build it with Alan or without Alan, with Google Actions or without, like any product you know you want to build with. Just try to do it. It's really very interesting, and like I hope my experience would change your mind for the voice interfaces. And thank you for inviting me to this meetup. Okay, so if any questions, and in the end of the deck I have Google words, very important for you, might be very important for you.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. So I recently had an eye-opening experience. I use this phone, and Siri here, the only thing it can understand is set timer. Anything else, half the time fails. And this is, I don't know, $700 phone. About 1 year ago, I bought Amazon Fire Stick. It's a thing for TV, and it costed $50. I used it for a couple of days, didn't like it. Then recently, I tried to use it again, and I hated typing on the keyboard. I noticed voice button, and it works flawlessly. It understands everything. And so I'm surprised, right? Because I have this phone. I used iOS for years. This thing listens to me all the time. It doesn't understand me. Amazon thing gets me right away. I mean, of course, the difference that I know is that they send the data to the cloud. These people do it on the phone. So my question is, how good are you, your Alan thing? How do I compare it to Google and Amazon? And if you know why Apple fails, in my case, please also let me know. Thank you.
Okay, I'll try to answer because I have had the same experience with Siri, and then I loved Alisa. So Siri, just a second. First of all, the developers there work a little bit slower because they work in Apple Office, and it's like closed department. And Alexa, yes, Alexa. So it develops by community of people. And when they are building, and so if you want to be the person who builds actions for Alexa, you can just go there and do it, and you will contribute to this not open source company, but for free and for your. So a lot of people are building around Alexa and around Google Actions, but Siri is one company without community. So it's just much more slowly. 2 years ago, when we started doing the sync thing, when we wanted to create an event, Siri couldn't pull out data from my work calendar, work emails. She couldn't understand what James I mean. Like I have 3 James. It didn't understand that I'm making a work event. And now it understands. Not this part, but more. It just develops much more slowly. So this is the answer.
Okay, thank you, Nelly.